Joy. And well, I heard about the case. I don't agree with the law because I think it is discriminatory. It favors the male gender. I just think because the woman carries the baby, then it's obvious when she gets pregnant. But then there are a lot of other police officers that have immoral records and all of that, and they are not brought to book. So I just think the law is very discriminatory.
It only punishes a woman because then it's obvious. You can see that she has, have gotten pregnant. And in the country, I don't think in the country we should be talking about gender inequality right now. Everybody should be equal. I feel if a woman is pregnant out of wedlock, it shouldn't be a problem, especially in the Nigerian force, because it's a public service.
And I just think it wouldn't stop at this case. There are a lot of other cases of the abuse of female rights, and then compensating one person doesn't do enough. So I don't agree with the law. I don't even think such a law is logical, okay? Because first it's the police force, and we know about the Nigeria police. Almost everything goes, and then you're picking on one lady. So I don't think it's logical.
Personally, I see it as a biased regulation, a biased law. Biased in the sense that a woman does not get pregnant on her own, by herself. It takes a man to get a woman pregnant. So if such a law exists, then I believe one way or the other, it should also affect the man or the male in service. So such a law, I feel, is in one way or the other, it may be trying to achieve some level of decency, but then it still appears biased. I feel it's biased. If it applies to the woman, it should also apply to the man. Whatever is source for the goose, is source for the gander.
Every woman has a right to her body, and she should be able to do whatever she wants to do with her body. She's not a child. And even though it is not, I'm not saying it's morally okay, but I don't think you should judge her because of she's pregnant.
The verdict of the court awarded her 5 million naira as some form of compensation. So if 5 million naira was awarded as compensation, I think it is not enough. All right. The fact that she was awarded such compensation is one way or the other an admittance that she wasn't liable.
My name is Fumi Falana. Talking about this landmark judgment in Omolola Olajide versus Inspector General of Police. The High Court in the National Industrial High Court in Akure gave a landmark judgment in the case of Omolola Olajide versus the Inspector General of Police. And this is a landmark judgment in that it's pronounced on a point of law that has been lingering on for a long time, i.e. the idea of discriminatory provision in the regulation of the police command. Now, Regulation 127 of the police in Nigeria specifies that every unmarried police officer who gets pregnant shall be dismissed from the police force. This regulation specifically targets the unmarried police women. Same is not applicable to unmarried policemen. Now, there was a woman, Omolola Olajide, who was in the police force, and last year she was dismissed from the police force because she became pregnant within a period of 3 years of his appointment into the police command. Oh yes, of course, the police dismissed her, claiming that she was dismissed under the provision of the regulation of the police command, i.e. the Regulation 127 of Police Act. Yeah, she contacted us and we went to court, and the only option that was applicable, that was open to the young lady, was to go to court. So she approached us, and I went to court. And the court gave us, we had a series of adjournments, and finally, on 11th day of January 2023, Justice Damulak of National Industrial Court finally handed down the judgment. And what did he say? He held in the judgment that any provision that is targeted towards a segment of a service, a police command, I like the unmarried policewoman, and same is not applicable to the married policeman, is contrary to the provision of Section 42 of the Constitution. Section 42 of the Constitution specifically states that nobody shall be discriminated against on the basis of sex. And so if a person is put under a disability or a restriction because of her sex, such provision is inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution, and the law frowns at it. So the court finally struck down that provision of the law, that is, Regulation 127 was struck down by the court, and the action, that is the dismissal of Omolola Olajide, was held to be inconsistent with the provision of the Constitution, and it was declared null and void. Yes, the court went further to also award damages. Yes, an exemplary damage of 5 million naira was awarded in favor of the applicant, that is Omolola Olajide. But we, on our own part, as a lawyer to the applicant, we commended the contribution of the judge to the interpretation and the development of the law. But we also feel that the judge should have gone further to order her reinstatement into the police force. Yeah, because the law is that if the ground upon which an action was done has been declared null and void, the action then becomes null and void because something cannot stand on nothing. In other words, if the leg upon which the action was standing has been broken, the action must fall. And so the entire dismissal must be a nullity. And so the woman must be returned back to the police command. So we are saying the fact that the court did not order her reinstatement is still not according to the law, and we intend to challenge that, to go to the Court of Appeal to challenge it. But howbeit, the extent to which the judgment went is a lot of development to the rights of women under the laws of Nigeria as it stands. And because one of our sources of law in Nigeria is stare decisis, that is judicial precedence. When a point of law is decided in Nigeria, it becomes the law on that issue until a contrary pronouncement is made on such issue. So as of today, the landmark judgment becomes the locus classicus in the area of the rights of women police officers. In other words, women police officers can now get married, can now become pregnant even before 3 years in the police force. That becomes the law now. The courts haven't pronounced on that point of law. And so this is a lot of contribution to the development of women's rights in Nigeria, and we celebrate the case. And we also want to note that there are many other laws that are inconsistent with the rights of women in Nigeria, that discriminates against women in Nigeria, laws that are similar to this one that has been struck down by the courts, which we still intend to take to court. 3 years ago, Women Empowerment and Legal Aid, our organization, took to court a similar provision, that was Regulation 124 of the same Police Act. And Regulation 124 specifies that any police officer that wants to get married before 3 years in police service must bring the proposed husband before a superintendent, her superintendent, who must approve the husband before she gets married to the man. And same provision was not applicable to the policeman. And we also challenged this in court, and the court struck it down. So 2 of these provisions of police regulation have been challenged by us, and those 2 provisions have been struck down. The first was Police Regulation 124, which talks about a woman that wants to get married must bring her suitor, her husband, to be for approval by the superintendent. And the second one that is Regulation 127, that specifies that any unmarried woman that becomes pregnant will be terminated. So we celebrate these contributions to the development of the rights of women in Nigeria, and we know that we still can go further. So I want to congratulate women in Nigeria as a whole, and specifically women in police force, that a lot has also been done in enforcing their rights, and of course a lot of development in the rights of women in the police force. So we want to remind everyone again today that discrimination against women is contrary to all the laws applicable in Nigeria. A man and a woman must be equal before the law.
And I feel anyone who has been discriminated because she's pregnant should not just be compensated, but also be reinstated into the police force, because it just doesn't make sense. It's not logical, and it's very biased.
Giving her the money, compensation, it doesn't necessarily change anything, okay? Her job was not given to her. It's the same thing that everybody fighting for gender equality is fighting for, okay? Equal rights and opportunities, not compensation for when you are stigmatized or something like that. Not necessarily because of this case, but no, I won't ever consider joining the police force. Not because of this case, but I won't consider joining the police force and all. So I just want to say this is an opportunity. Yeah, gender equality. I know a lot of people have taken it to the extreme to say men and women should now play equal roles in society. I don't think that's feasible. But when it comes to rights, opportunities, privileges, I think it should just be open to everybody. Because I didn't choose to be a lady, and you didn't choose to be a man. So you can't tell me that you are entitled and I'm not.
Then she should also get back her job, because there's no reason for you to admit in one way that she's not liable, thereby awarded such amount of money, yet not being given back her job. So I think she should also be reinstated. That's how I see it, right? So it's a biased law in my opinion, and the court has also, in their wisdom, awarded her some form of compensation, but it's still not enough. I think she should be compensated.
And so we will continue to champion the rights of women in Nigeria. We'll continue to promote the rights of women in Nigeria. We'll continue to speak for women in Nigeria, and of course we'll continue to work on the development of the rights of women in Nigeria. We say thank you very much. God bless you.